Welcome. Today we are going to learn how to do a 7-step value scale. Then we're going to do a gradient scale. We are going to use that knowledge to shade and draw a cylinder. Enjoy the video.
Okay, I'm going to create a 7-step value scale. I'm going to draw a line, put a dot at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to draw on the other side of the ruler. Draw these lines down. And I'm going to give this a try with an ebony pencil. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Alright, so I have an ebony pencil here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create the lightest value that I possibly can by holding my pencil very, 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 very softly, like really loose. Okay? With that being said, what I'm going to do is just go over that a few times. I'm going to come here, build that up, come over here, build this value up until it's just a little bit darker. One of the keys for shading is not pressing hard and just layering your work. So the moment that you press hard with your pencil, you start damaging the paper. So your paper has weight, which is your thickness. It has tooth, which is the texture. So if you hold your pencil straight up and down, then you're going to damage the paper. You're going to create little imprints. Another great shading method is to work in a circular motion. So again, look at how I'm holding my pencil. I'm just layering my values. I'm going to press a little bit harder for the darker values. I'm going to press a little bit harder. So if you're using the side of your pencil versus the top, it'll work out a little bit better for you. Another trick is to use like just a regular pencil and use it as like a blender. So to move the graphite, or if you're using charcoal, you can use a paper towel to go over it with. Alright, so there you go. There's a 7-step value scale. Now below this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a gradient. With that being said, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a gradual change of values. I'm going to try to build this up, so I'm going to go from dark grays. I'm going to try to match what's above this, and then I'm going to reduce my pressure, and I'm going to do this little polishing technique here. Alright, so there's a gradient scale there for you. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little cylinder shape. I'm going to show you how to put all this together, how to use value to create a form. We'll just make a really small one right here. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is, let me darken this up just a little bit for you so you can see this. I'm going to shade a cylinder for you, and I'm going to show you how to make it look 3D with different values, okay? So once I have my foreshortened circle, I want to make sure that bottom is curved, and I could draw from there to create that cast shadow. I'm going to start off with a really light gray. Okay, so with that being said, I'm just going to use a scrap piece of paper. I'm going to blend that. Okay, I'm going to just make the side a little bit darker. And I'm going to start building it up. I'm going to leave this area right here. We're going to make this where the highlight is, right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the darker side. Start coming back and forth with this. I'm going to use that polishing technique, that gradient technique, that burnishing technique. So burnishing is where you're going in a circular motion. So we want kind of the shadow side to be around here with the values. We want the top to be a flat value. And then we're going to start reducing our pressure down to kind of gray in the middle to the light gray. So it looks like a gradual change of values. Inside just a little bit, we want to darken this to create a core. We actually want the edge just to be still a dark gray, but we want it to be a little bit lighter. So you'll have your highlight, your gradient light grays, your gradient dark grays, okay? Then you're going to have the core shadow. So I'm going to start building that up a little bit, and then I'm going to gradate from that. Then you actually have this cast shadow. Cast shadow is what will happen if light's coming from the top at an angle slightly in front. And you can play around with the cylinder or a cup and take a lamp and change different angles so you can see what I'm looking at here or making. And this is going to be the darkest part, is that shadow on the ground. It's going to be really dark because light's coming slightly in front and it's hitting right there, so that cast shadow is going to go back into space. So by leaving this reflective light, light will come and bounce and it'll create like a little bit of a glow. That will look, that'll create some contrast here. So let me darken up the core a little bit so you can see this. And then just leaving that kind of like, still a dark gray, not a light gray, because light's going to bounce and hit off the ground. I'm going to put a little bit of negative space around here so we can get this to pop. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create just a dark background area. Let's bring that down a little bit. I'm just going to make this really dark pretty quickly. I am kind of damaging the paper by pressing so hard, but I could probably polish that away. Looking good. So if you could use the concept of that full value scale, get in your dark values to your medium to your light values, then you can start creating that illusion of 3D space by using a full value scale from your darks to mediums to light, to including things like I said, your highlight, which is where the light hits the strongest, to your midtones. You got light grays and dark grays, and then you want to eventually get your shadows in there, your core shadow, leave this lighter for reflective light. When I say lighter, it's still a dark gray. Get that shadow on the ground, which is your cast shadow. So once you know how to do this, it's good. You can set up like a little lamp and a cup. A good practice would be like getting a white cup, like a styrofoam cup, and putting a light on it. And to study this, so I would recommend always going back in and layering and polishing your values. Pay attention to how you hold your pencil. But I would do these 3 exercises. I would try to create at least a 7-step value scale. Try to create that gradient scale. Also, create a form. Anything flat, light's going to be nice and even. Highlight, midtones, core shadow, reflective light, and cast shadow. I'll give you a pointer. You could use paper towels, a tissue when you do things like gradients. You could always blend light to dark, but you can't go that way. All right? I find that using just a pencil along with your like graphite pencils, charcoal pencils, your ebony pencil, or just softly layering and softly polishing works really well. All right, so I hope this helps you, and good luck with shading.
Thank you for watching my video today. Use the knowledge of value and shading to make something amazing. Be a good person. See you next time.